pledge allegiance to the flag of God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July 20th. Do roll call. Steve Hargrave. John Gilliland's here. Steve Nelson. Here. Jamie Gomati.
As far as the quorum voting members, Tabitha Trent.
Agenda item number 2 is the condition.
Invoices come in this says there's only, I see. And pay request number 2 for $13,040. And the other invoice was from CHA Consulting for surface water treatment plant. And that was for those additions.
Make a motion to accept.
Mr. Nelson, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like.
Invoice 2A, or item 2A from the two invoices. $486.24. The second one was $13,000.
Motion to approve both.
Have a motion by Mr. Nelson, and a second.
Item 2B is an invoice from CHA Consulting. Review at the surface water treatment plant. That invoice is for $5,000.
By Mrs. Trent.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. All those in. It's time for a public meeting. Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mullenhour. All those in favor. Have any comments from the public?
Month, if there's issue to go over the resolution. If there's any issue.
-03.
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Nelson. All those. It's time to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing at this time.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Agenda item number 4 is a consent agenda.
I'd like to pull the Operations Director's report. If you want me to. The groundwater treatment plant, what are we doing with the
After that, he had me add that. Yeah, the water produced will be.
now, how much is that going to affect water hardness? I mean, that's the reason.
It will have some effect. It's going to be roughly a half. The water produced there is coming out in the ground somewhere around the. So, you know, it is possible to see an increase in hardness of.
We need to stay on top of that. I mean, if about that quickly, I would think.
Yeah, there is, it's my understanding we have a. Increase water from usage from the lake. Treatment. You know, one of the big challenges is the waste stream. I'll create some sort of waste stream, which is going to be a put through a new pipeline to the deep well at the wastewater plant. Sorts on it, but the idea was to get the plant in operation, that should there be some under DEP standpoint, even if the water is hard, we want standard.
Yeah.
It's not a health standard, so test some of these new technologies with Beaver Eco Works. Wiring pumps had to be rebuilt, so it actually ready standby. The treatment is something that's going to need to be addressed. Hardness did not create soft water. I think. So it was a nice increase, but there's the proposals we received. The beauty of the treatment that we did look at is it does not create an additional waste stream. Path forward, but we want the plant operational and exercised.
What is the target date to have it back online?
One daily run, like 8-hour run, you know, roughly 4.
To put in perspective, our demand is around water master plan effort. It goes beyond just the groundwater plan. And where is that source? What would it take to use it? We're looking down the road. Quantity again. And we need to start that process. To us. So that is going to be something that identify that. So there's a lot of pieces where it is now.
Go straight through that storage tank, or can it be bypassed and?
It's my understanding, I haven't studied the plan, but I believe it goes direct.
Harry, the short answer is you wouldn't want to do that. Right into a 16-inch water main where there's no mixing.
Right.
It's going to be a first to make sure there's 1.5 million gallons trimmed. That slug of water you put in will be so that's about the only way we could really do it. It's not the opportune deal, but it's the way we have to deal with. So, Mr. Chairman, we'd have to. And separately, the item that was pulled, number.
Just one question, sorry. Any
I mean, from staff?
Yeah.
No, sir.
Have a second by Mr. Nelson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Because if we are degrading the water quality, I mean, the water management is
Let's be careful
Yes.
about degrading. It is a second. Issue, which means it's not harmful, but it's not spots on the mirrors or what. So that's why it's a secondary complaint. Aware of, and that we will long term have to figure out.
And the test well by Frank DiCarlo.
Agreement on the process, and then we're referencing some of the original total suspended solid numbers in that. American Drilling had the idea of installing a permanent well. To find just a test well, which was not test well this time, and don't see the benefit.
It's just two different objects, and our intent was different, and their intent was to develop a well. On it for right now.
Why couldn't they just do what we wanted?
We could, but again, if it's well driller in Okeechobee, that we wouldn't get what we on the earlier reports, we have a pretty good indication of what's down there.
Director's monthly report.
Motion to approve.
Oh, well.
Approved.
Sorry.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Mullenhour. Okay.
Sir?
Oh, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mull. Open the floor to public comments. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to open.
By Mr. Nelson, all those in favor?
You can do it.
Any opposed, like sign.
Seems like it's locked up.
Close it then.
Not working as well as, why don't you give her the mouse? So, we're going to number 26. Speak to the board. He's met with me. We've got essentially it resolves around property owner could do the work themselves to make the connection. Hire a contractor, again, still permitting through the county, and the OUA, which was to put the comes up that the OUA does have some state monies involved for control of the project, so it was decided of that grant funding and reimburse to each sewer. To that end, this property owner done before we were available. We had our bid reimbursed up to that cost using be our contractor, our bid, our oversight. And see if the board wishes to change that plan. So, where we're at with it, but that's the basics.
Yes, please, state your name, date, and address.
A lot of times when we work with their organizations, to come and present cases to was denied the grant reimbursement for the septic. To the OUA, pick based on the personal circumstances of the connection and the third. And when I bought the house, at that time I had to pay a fee. Unfortunately, the expansion was taking place where our current. So I called OUA, I paid my fees, and I was told by October. The tank will be removed, we'll get the permitting, everything, the build out will start. Ready yet? Called in December. When I called in December, I was told that we would have to hire a new contractor because something had happened. So I can start my project. So I was connected with and he followed back with me and said, we can help you connect. So I instead of having two expenses for the houses, I based on, regulatory and engineering standards based on the with the health departments and the county, making sure that crushing it by putting new soil, we did all of that. And just give the credit of the grant that was already allocated. Honors of the spirit of, getting another home safely. At the end of the day, my intentions were at some point we have to start, because once you pull a permit, it takes time for your had to take that action early. And that's the only reason. If I had it why you don't want to reimburse. But in my situation, it's a little bit unique. Hopefully, as I said, I don't want the money or anything. I just want you to.
What was the question?
Is this form over substance?
Or at least let me make this statement. The delay came in it was not the property owner, it was the contractor. They didn't finish their system wasn't available to connect to June, and you did all the okay, so the issue was that the HGI didn't finish shortly during that time period, and it was ready at and HGI made the system available. We took beneficial use. They met some contractor. Well, it was the OUA contractor, HGI, but we had no.
Other than not use your contractor, our contractor.
What? Which is the property owner to do the work, the grant money would not. In wanting to be prepared, he knew going into it that the grant money coming in and saying he doesn't want the money, but he wants the credit. So essentially, he wants the money. Not the way it was set up, because the state and this is circumventing that because the property owner is doing the that. So we can't just, I guess, I mean, and that's just not the way it was set up.
So all the inspections done and everything passed?
OUA.
But that still would have been accepted by OUA had
Option 3, the OUA is tasked with doing permit from the health department respect. They the selection of the work to be done was a public bid.
So was the contractor used one that we would have used?
I don't.
Specific contractor to do all the work. My situation was that I'm going to choose one of these options. What happens, I had to make a decision. When John, I mean, not John, Mr. Kennedy said, you know, we'll allow would I be able to get the grant money? He said, I don't know. I had to make a decision.
Right. So you understood going in that
Everything is delayed for me.
right.
I was just hoping that when the based on here's a total sum and you guys be like, I'm sure If it was 30, I have an invoice for 40. Then why can't you allocate $3,600? The only reason I'm and say, well, we did reimburse this person, that's the reason why I'm saying is you can put it. No, if anything happens, then, and then I did follow up with him, we did. This entity's pipeline, we cannot reimburse that. But again, this decision I had made after you gave me the options, and it's we did it, but I completed the decommission of the septic tank prior. I
Clear-
understand that, but in my
Well-
situation is different too.
And so you took that, you assumed that risk when you did the work early.
So what's the disadvantage? What's the disadvantage? What's the downside?
There are other people that did the work on their own. Why wouldn't they be available? It was $3,200, so he's asking for the full $3,600. What about all the other people then, that if we allocated 30? Do they get the credit to their account? So the downside is and it didn't work out that way.
So how, do we know how many people?
I don't know that right now. I know that there are a handful. Not to do with the OUA. Greg would probably. Bunch that are less than $3,600. Yes, sir.
Grant rules and regulations.
You know, I'm going to tell you that policy that was spelled out is that the money has to $3,200 or $3,600 to be used for as I understand it, it's for the on-site capital connection charge, not connection fees to the OUA, not the about, and we're doing this with other grants where we have to show that we this whole process on other bids. I'm only going to assume that to know for sure.
I would prefer that you research this before we make a decision. Complete understanding, black and white, as to if we can make it. The $3,600 that's been allocated, was that based? That's still in the totals of 3,600, or is it 30, or is it blanket?
feet of piping or 500 feet of piping, one septic tank, two.
How much per house the grant would be because it's already a.
Well, when it was bid though, they bid on individual lots and many.
So there was less than 3,600. Might be project 3 coming up, which is going down to Okotoks. For onesies and twosies inside the city. The central sewer.
Okay, so I don't feel comfortable making a decision.
And then from you, all your invoices.
Yeah, I can.
Or John and his group would have a chance to look at it.
Correct what John said is, what I meant when 3,600, I was just taking that number. We'll reimburse 3,200 or whatever the amount. That's all the credit.
Is jeopardize the grant and then future opportunities as well.
I completely understand, and from my research, from my understanding, some of it. It's not like OURA is going to say, you know, guess what? The situation. See, every situations come around. This, we can't do it. Then what's the purpose of this board as well? To consider the situation, and at the end of the day, it's
Stretch this grant money as far as possible to people that have followed.
understand. Again, thank you for your
Yep,
time.
thank you.
Before we leave it, what are you're fine. I would just. The money.
Yes.
That basically, okay.
Any
No, I mean, you gave me direction to.
I just got one last
Sure.
question, request to ask. So my last. Was the last day to turn in your notarized. So depending on the situation. To the final connection. Right now, currently it is.
We don't come on property to do that. It's done out at the right of way.
On that you missed the deadline.
Yeah.
Does it need to turn the format is this question.
Contractor was going to be on his property doing the work. The contract. So since we're not going to be on property, we're going to be Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for checking. Anything else? Okay, we will research that and bring it back.
Or do we?
No, I'm good. We got directions. So. The comment, this is item 26,
Okay.
customer.
Making sure that we're.
Finance report?
That's the Excel spreadsheet. Anymore. I don't see the Excel lit up.
No, it's not. Excel is the.
Comments. It's a public hearing that's open and
Yeah,
closed. It's not.
Tell me what we
For them, to the next agenda.
We clicked the wrong one. You clicked 28, so click. You gotta minimize that, get that out of there, and you can have more room.
And board members, I will try to be as quick and brief as report as at June 30th, being the look into the changing of the guard, and therefore early in the past we have gone through the income statement, which we used to call what we know is tracking with is at 11.1 million versus a budget our budget in terms of percentages. We are 1.9 ahead. Look at in terms of where we are with the expense. That's roughly $1 million, but those, and in the write-up I what we think the major item that comprise some of those difference. The closure of that gap, but there are some expenses. We also give a bit of overview on $2 million versus the budget, but we all know it has to to find the source of those capital connection charges. Front on those places. So from the income statement, that the OUA is in a very solid position. Now, that's the income statement. If I should in finance stroke accounting 3. So while we look at the page number 2, that gives a bit of a quick summary. And if we look at on the far right, alright, I think I'm in. What we're seeing is that our net cash position flow in terms of the in and out movements. As well too, and then the final statement balance sheet, as you look at the current asset, how much versus how much do we owe. And I think if you we have a total of 21 million here, but we know that the actual cash restricted and unrestricted that is between restricted and restricted. The OUA holds within 12 months period. $1. That's what this figure is saying. So I would say the liability that we have outstanding within 12 months debt. If you should move to your long-term debt, $15.7 million, which is all restricted cash. So overall, I think and our balance sheet, I think it shows is a good position to be in as we executive to the next executive. Shows a very solid position. Pictures and positions such as these, so I try to answer. If not, I will ask the board to July report. Sorry.
Mrs. Trent,
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Nelson. All those in favor say aye. We'll go over the preliminary item, agenda item number 28.
all right. So
Click on it. You didn't click.
I'm getting a bit old now, right? from May of this year, we knows that at subsequent board meetings we would be where we are, what are our proposals for A to D, and that covers their sum or capital projections in terms of our do a very quick review of section we'll do a quick review of section Michelle, could you, or do I access the Excel? Yeah, you can open that. Yeah. In order in terms of E to use the sheets that we have here. So how do I enlarge this too? Oh, that refers to in terms of reserves. So there's a finance section, I think, in page 42 or 43. RI, which is a renewal, replacement, and improvement fund. Of the prior year fiscal revenue. So what $4 million, we calculate 5% of that. That's increase it by approximately $10,000, right? Which is F. Look at the reserve. The is that it is 30 days of the prior year the prior year which is 30 over 365, which gives us so built into the budget is an increase of that reserve. The next section is G, and the G is 60 days of the current O&M. So of FY27, when we did the section 60 days reserved for the for in case of emergency. is 1.96. Presently, we have 1.9 from our revenue being transferred to that reserve. So moving very along, the next section, fire hydrant fund. The fire hydrant fund is which also says that this fund should be set aside in the service area. The rate that for residential units, their bills should non-residential should be charged $1.98. This fund is fund that we will use to install $790. Those rates that were given to us, the 62 cents, increase of about $200,000 on the fire hydrant too. To be somewhere about $931,000 at the not here, my apology, it's in a separate K1 is a summary of our debt. Commitments. We have SRF debt that we are now paying on. Recently took on a USDA loan. Here to be made to those institutions. Payment of $2.5 million. To make payment to those three institutions, tourists, SR. The budget. Which is the labor. And the labor, what we do, it's a detailed labor. We have, I think, it's about 62 persons that we and we calculate what is the extended labor the OUA in terms of health, in terms of pension. All of those are placed together. Has a total of $6.4 million. We'll be happy to share privately on which you have there. It goes into the Capital Connect on infill only. For those we, of course, this is going to be an estimate, so water and 12 VRC will be added for wastewater. And from that we apply the rate estimate that this will be additional income up to the top, it comes down to the bottom to the restricted revenue, right? Operating revenue, and as a restricted revenue only be used on those water and then of course the final a cash movement in terms of where we do expect to start the year for each account. Revenue that we project to come in. In terms of grants from certain projects, which I think we'll hear later on about, but we will also have a draw on those from what we have spent. So what you'll find is up top the revenue, the grant. So we look at all the project, all the expense. We come up with what we consider to be our close overdraft or a negative. So all accounts and with that done, I'll just give on schedule A4, having gone expense in section C, ensure that we the policy and procedure in terms of reserves expenditure. We then put it all together what is our operating expense, what is our debt payment, which was dealt with last month, 14.7. A surplus of $3 million, but we will have to make up choice and USDA, and they have a specific in a lien. It has to be a minimum of 1. We would be having a percentage of 1. by the bond document, and that is really where because if you're in breach, the bond holders can pretty much call on their bond. And then for the secondary lien, requirement is that after paying those primary meaning to pay to SRF loan, we have what those loan documentations and the bond document we are in line in terms of the revenue. Let me not say all, but think we have looked at majority coverage, and having looked at our coverage and the in and out transfer. We still have another fallen for adoption, and during this time, if please talk to us as staff. The good thing is that right now, and I know the projected in the budget for the ratepayers, so still live. Things could have happened between now and September. The budget is balanced and we have met all the and this is provided for information purpose. Are now feeling a bit at ease to be able to any questions may I ask? So the labor cost does include the health insurance, which the board may decide to otherwise.
I would disclose, you know, again, this is great. When you review your documents, and if you had any kind of questions, comments, or changes that be, you know, brought to please feel free to either call us or stop by, and we'll be happy to meet with you.
Anybody have any questions? This time I think we'll move on to agenda item number. David are here, we may move on to that.
It's what we agreed upon during the last couple of meetings. but it doesn't
But it's
have
36.
after the fact. So there's 10 years.
What number is it?
In the event that it doesn't start as a fire station. Notice of automatic converter, the deed and the notice get recorded, you just recordation.
So is there, whatever?
For the agenda, so it would be a motion to approve the notice of private diversion. An exception as to one document that would cause that one to be out of the package, but it would be all.
Is that Glenn?
That's me.
Okay.
By Mr. Snyder to accept the agreement.
Thank you so much for considering this. It's sewer plant land next to our bar. The county supported that. And gave it to the state, you know, and then, so now it's perfect. To do this, so thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Motion passes.
The item that Cemetery Road, the amount that's in the treatment unit, this is a grant. Questions, Greg's here to answer. He's been well involved in this, the whole to execute the grant agreement and then the cost estimate. Particular agenda item.
Any questions or comments? Do I have a motion to accept?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Trent. All those in favor say aye. Of $80,600.
Motion to accept the cost.
Trent. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign.
These are more bids that have been put out for if anybody's interested. Okay. Being that we received $129,548.60 from Meeks Plumbing Incorporated. addresses were that were included. The,
Folks who have not.
so that you asked earlier if there were groups that have not agreed to, right of entry.
Capital connection charges paid by those individuals.
Septic to sewer, and they didn't approve. So you can see that many of them are.
I can imagine that because of and these individuals going out and doing it on their own, I hope they understand that.
But it's actually more than that, sir. It's also, if you put the X, and they don't know about getting in with Y and A, B, C. So the whole thought process all along that we were and we would have essentially, here's what we want done. Who provides the best, and we've got some, hopefully, there's been an issue with getting permits approved, but about a week on the first few. So it's a wonderful deal. Years ago, making this happen. Our cap, OUA cap.
Good job with the staff. Good staff.
Bid of $129,548.16.
Motion to accept the bid.
Mr. Nelson, second by Mrs. Trent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Follow. Same process, different bids. Bid was $66,667.50.
I have a motion by Mrs. Trent.
Second.
Group R, again, you see the low bid by Meeks Plumbing once again at $68,000.
Meeks Plumbing, Inc.
I have a motion by Mr. Nelson. I have a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign.
$69,271.50, request.
Notice of award.
I have a motion by Mrs. Trent.
Second.
Second.
Soon, next month, we have tabulated all the average price is coming in, or did you already do that in this one? Next month, as far as, what do I? Appropriate documentation, from the low bid with their work.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nelson. All those in favor say aye. Agenda.
The notes there, we went through and tried to do our tested, cleaned, broke almost immediately. The leak, and before that would happen, the blower, was it the so the issue was we had to get quotes Monday to replace both of the units in the which is above the antiquated dollars. So we're requesting after the fact the by the way, there is a new purchasing manual that's out for 26 standards, and we'll move on, make a $17,900 after the fact. You want? We can lower it. But this is another unit. This
Put that into the budget. Building maintenance, would you not?
it could be both yes and no. Sometimes in the budget there are specific amount of what that vehicle is, so even though it's in the budget approved that we there is some budget money in there for building maintenance. It's done, $15,000 went a long way. Nowadays it doesn't. And if that were to happen, you wouldn't need it. For instance, as an example, the FP&L power bill. If it's under the spending threshold.
Gotcha.
Make sense? To accept the purchase of 17.9 after the.
Second by Mrs. Trent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 32, Southwest. We're moving to operational stage for the collection system. individual homes to the vacuum collection system. That is located underground in the top of the pit. That is swell, and it could flood. If the unit was to flood, the controller all of those controllers out of the vacuum pit, which is the cost to go through and do all of that. It would be roughly, by the cost, 500 tubing and wiring up into the air terminal at 221 55 cents. So we're asking for the approval on a per unit. Right now projected at 221 units at 84.
Are now mounted in the sumps and they need to be moved. Is that?
Terminal is that device to the right. It looks like a of this buried pit, extending the wires up to and in.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign?
The issue was, this was bid before Pine Ridge wells built up with water drainage. We moved those here and getting to move projects. We're just going to go ahead and have it bid with the controllers.
$33, lift station and manhole rehabilitation.
Current FY26 budget, we were able to Jamie Mullis was very good about, diligent about and you have the results here in your board package. So to get these quotes and to ask for $77,793. Seeking approval of this expense.
Approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Trent to approve. Any opposed, like sign? Motion passes.
So we're meeting today with another company to and identified some areas that might have, should have folks are going to go through and do smoke testing for us to try to identify where those Since it's dry, this is the time we need to get in and get that tested. That back to you, if there is some cost next.
Number 34, Southwest Fifth Avenue, septic to sewer.
Remember that we have a certain amount already approved state appropriation, but what we elected to do as a company to break we've already bid phase 1 and approved it. It was going the second portion of the collection system that we'd like to put out. Funding assistance that was not recognized or approved. Or a state revolving fund, SRF funding. Actually, a loan grant mixture, but Jeff is here to in time for the August hearing, but it just meet for the November meeting. But just as an update to the board,
I apologize for the glasses. I gave myself very small. It was part of the DEP process and how they look at the there's no getting to the August meeting. So the next meeting for facilities planned by DEP by this 27%. Importantly, start the preparation of their environmental. Doing a bunch of work in already built road rights of way, but species report from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The capital financing plan, which is also part of that submittal requirement. With the project manager at DEP to make sure that that review is basically a resolution adopting the completed facilities plan that on the board agenda for the September meeting. We could do it for a change. I don't do that often, but that one couldn't be. Just a matter of getting it on the agenda. We also will need to review the facilities plan and the at that same board meeting, or we could schedule a separate meeting for it. I don't expect meeting, and then we have to, submit meeting as part of the final facilities plan. It's a loan program. There are opportunities for those funds aren't always available. We won't know until we get project would qualify for it. It's largely based on the 2020 census numbers. We are certainly below the state average. It depends on, and we actually asked that question of DEP, and we'll keep working on it. Lawrencetown does have some additional DEP on track on their review process. That's, and just, we do have is a listed project in the Lake Okeechobee BMAP. Requirements to the spec book and put it out to bid and ready to go. So.
Yep.
You're welcome.
So this doesn't require a vote.
Keeping you abreast of where we are with Southwest Fifth Avenue and what's transpired. Understand that, but we are moving forward with the SRF. $35, that was a Department of Commerce rule. Reference purposes, if you remember, the OUA submitted this proceeded to, since the projects are still on the as well as possibly another development grant application, which was done. That interim period, for the developers to see if of participation, cost participation in this, which and this is really provided as a information concerns with this application process. We good?
Agenda item number 37, healthcare costs.
So as mentioned, our healthcare costs are $7.5%. There are cost on to our employees into for that 11.5% increase. Position. Obviously, I have other new potential employees to our job openings. Additional expense to the already contributed every month. In this table, FY26 contributions of $1,200. Projected it to go up to $1,300. And for the employee monthly contribution to $1,700 and $50 to $2,150, and how that plays out the fourth column and the last column, you'll see how versus the monthly OUA contribution, how that differs. I'll just go through a couple of them. The employee only $2, and understand that $132 is not going to be equal plus is available to purchase other insurance under the or whatever they chose, but they don't get the money. Again, they're going to see a net difference of 110. So it's going to be 747. It was 587 out of pocket. So it's real money that our employees have to pay out of pocket. This particular plan. You can go down and look at the other plans, 37. $51.68 or the $51.72. You can see what all the differences are. Approve these monthly contributions for FY.
What's the difference between
is the employee only, employee plus spouse, employee family is everybody, the employee, spouse, and children. This increase is approved. We just back it out.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing. We need to.
Let's not kid ourselves. Why would somebody want to move to the center? To attract those of quality, and the other aspect is to maintain good employees. We're going to have to forfeit.
We have open enrollment coming up next month, and so this
Snyder to accept.
Second.
Second by
And OUA, thank you very much. Skip this? No, I'm just kidding.
Good morning. I'd say the business terms. We have another discussion here in the last meeting that happened. All the business terms are right. This has a 90-day probation period. There's an annual review that also goes through the board. I think the board should be happy with it. So we just request approval to execute this.
Get language adjusted, and I feel like it's a good.
It is with great pleasure that we'd like to recommend the approval.
Motion by Mr. Nelson.
I'll second.
Have a second by Mr. Motion passes.
Have you done that?
Congratulations.
Talk a little bit about the effective date and how that's jumping.
And for
We'll see.
Ask the city director to talk about what he's going to do after that.
his request, and I'm okay with it. But my OUA employee for the next transition period, moving from him taking over, notifying them of this change. There's going to be a transition. Stuff, but we have to wait. Some of it has to be done after 31, this year, and 2 or 3 weeks after that, whatever the new director sees fit. But my retirement package involves short. Would be if it's acceptable to so the August meeting, if I'm still around, the plan would great to sit in, and I'll be here to help. I sent all the agenda items to Greg. Little things like that already, and I'm throwing them out there, and he can pull together what those day-to-day operations.
Do I have a motion?
A motion to accept this. Motion is stated.
I'll second.
Motion by me. Motion passes.
Last but not least, okay, so again, all right, sorry, going through, there are a couple just need confirmation. The two that are the executive director is assigned to be on that board. The position on the pension plan trustee. And Development Corporation, of which we have folks here. There is an appointment. If it's so inclined that the board would
I move to appoint Kennedy Yoshida.
Aye. Any opposed, like sign.
do you need anything else? Board appointment, but you know, TRC, the Technical Review Committee meetings as well. The position doesn't really require anything, but you know, presentation to City Council. Set up for August 7th, a leadership course, but in the course of running the business as the executive director, time case by case basis. But anyway, it's all fun.
All right. Items from our attorney.
Are on the agenda from this previous cycle, the executive director agreement. The most significant one is the Lakefront Estates development, so there's a review. Fairly technical, and in particular, I've asked with a particular eye towards, are these things we've ever done before for another 10 days, I'd say, we would get together. Before we have any substantive comments, and it's just that it of what our historical policies and procedures are, and so I'll just ask that we decline, push back on some
Where that is, there was a proposal that serving their development, big users, so they're going to have grow, but it's going to be quite extensive. What is, can they have this large user agreement if you are a different rate for a large user if it was over 250. That does establish that. So that was the more than 250,000 gallons a day, and with that, things. We don't have to own, operate, and maintain the distribution system. So there would be some basis for a as expected. Nothing is ever that simple. That we now have to meet and discuss over. But that was where and we're going into other things. But it's going to be a process, but we'll get that we have to come up with. We do not have any of these other ones because we don't have any other.
Thank you. Item
Employment. No, there's a lot of things here on the agenda. We have lots of projects under design. Going to be, I mean, it's still going to be a happening point. Speak with us. We'd like to get this still working on within the budget. There's just lots that we have going on. Projects. We will also be doing a wastewater treatment headworks of the plant and where we're going. '31, I mean, somewhere out in the future. More nutrients from our reclaimed water leaving the treatment rules are that we have to remove them before lease. So there's things so that we'll be in a position by the early 2030s. Always something that we're going to have to work towards, and answer any other questions you might have on, if any.
John, you have to come down front and
Was that a request to come down?
I don't know if we get all the managers in there.
Harry, you guys stand next to me.
Oh, yeah?
And that's TMLA.
Squeeze in.
Oh, that's squeeze in.
It would help.
Great,
Well,
all right.
for 26 years of service to the OUA as the executive director. Be hard to replace. I'm probably not the guy. Been here for a long time, and you all have anything to tell me to say?
Original member for all the years that you have served on the, as chairman and as a board member. He's always been there for the OU. Go on, and I hope that you remain part of the OUA.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody smile for a bit. Thank you very much.
That's all he cares about is the check.
I'm very happy to do it. Sad to see it happen, but we all get it. Yes, we will. Like I said, I get my shoulder surgery, so
This time I'll adjourn the board meeting.
All right.
thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Yeah.
Remember, you volunteered for this.